What's up guys, back with another one, and in this video I wanted to address the notion that life isn't fair, and I wanted to talk about what we can do about that. Alright, so the reason that I bring this up is because I recall very vividly when I was younger and something went wrong and adults didn't feel like going through the trouble to make it right. They would just tell you, oh yeah, well, life isn't fair. And I just remember when I was younger that would piss me off so badly because the reality is, yeah, life isn't fair, no shit, but the whole point of fairness and the whole concept behind it is that it's something that we put in place. We are the ones who try to make things more fair in a universe that doesn't care. So that's what always upset me when I was younger, because it's like, well, you just don't want to put in the effort to make things more fair. But in reality, if you're in the bad situation, then you will want it to be more fair. And somebody telling you, oh, well, sorry, it's not fair, that does not do anything good for you or make anything right. So I felt this topic was worth talking about because people say stuff to this effect all the time in an attempt to end a good conversation or to skirt a good point when you bring something up and you're trying to make things better and they just want to bail out. They're going to say something like, oh, life isn't fair, or you don't understand how it works, or just stupid stuff like that. So I figured that was worth addressing. And then the second point I wanted to talk about is, okay, so life isn't fair. So how do we make life more fair? Well, we have ethics, and that's what the whole legal system is about, and that's what being ethical is about. So there's two types of ethics, and this is another thing people often get confused. So there's descriptive ethics, and then there's prescriptive ethics. So a real quick and basic description is that with descriptive ethics, it gives an account of how the world is without saying it's good or bad. Whereas with prescriptive ethics or normative ethics, they express an evaluation, saying that something is good or bad, or better or worse relative to some standard or alternative. So as far as something that's descriptive, you might have heard somebody say, oh, well, that's just the way the world works, and, people eat animals and kill animals all the time, so it's fine. Well, that's kind of a description of what's going on, but that doesn't mean that that is fine. Whereas with prescriptive or normative ethics, you're going to actually express whether that position is good or bad, or what's wrong with it. So you could say, well, I think that needlessly killing sentient beings is not a good thing. And then if you made that statement, that would be a normative or prescriptive statement rather than just describing how things are. I think the best way that this was explained to me was, imagine that you had a kid in a school who was burning down. Now, I would imagine you'd want to have your kid get priority, and you'd like the firefighters to go in and rescue them immediately. But is that fair for everyone else's kid? Because I think that every parent who actually cares about their kid is going to want to have the firefighter go in and rescue their children first. And in this situation, I think the most ethical thing that most people would agree with is that no kid should have priority for who gets to get taken out of the burning school first. The firefighters should go in and then get the children that they can and not prioritize any particular child. You have a system that works for everybody, and it's not prioritizing anybody unfairly. Now, where prescriptive ethics comes in, and it's really important, is we're going to be looking at what is actually moral in this situation relative to a standard, and then we're going to apply it based on that standard. So if we thought that it's best to have the most well-being for all of the children and all of the parents, then there's a good chance that we might want to treat the situation how I mentioned earlier, and that's how it's generally currently done. So in a real-life situation, the firefighter would go in and he would help the children that were most available to be helped. and that is how it would be prescribed. And if you were to say, oh yeah, I want my child saved first, then you would be like, okay, well, go in and save the child of the people who have priority, or something to that effect. And that would be the prescription. Clearly not a fair prescription. Now, I don't think that most people know the difference between descriptive and prescriptive ethics, and I don't think most people really pay that much attention to ethics in general from a more nuanced perspective. I think that most people do want to make things fair, but they're not willing to look that much into it. If it's too much effort or it seems to be too intricate for them to wrap their minds around, then they're likely to go a route where it's like, oh, life just isn't fair or whatever. So I think it's important that more people understand what these terms mean, and I think that it's important that everyone have the mentality that it is possible to make things a lot more fair, but you have to be part of that. You can't just expect it to happen or act like the universe is supposed to do it, because we know that the universe doesn't appear to care about enforcing fairness. It's human beings that care about this. So I think that when it comes to the animals and when it comes to humans, we should try to make things as fair as possible for everyone. It's a very basic step we can all move towards. Now, we're going to have different ways that we want to move towards it and what we think is fair, but we should at least have that goal for any good person to try to make everything as fair as possible. In any case, if you're dealing with someone who is having trouble grasping this concept, send them this video and maybe they'll understand, or maybe they'll get a better idea of what it's about, because I think more people should know this sort of thing. Throw a like on the video if you liked it, consider subscribing, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.